Now, Ask Dr. Love with psychotherapist, author, love and relationship expert Jamie Turndorf, Ph.D. For expert advice on love and relationships, call into the show at 888-463-6748. That's 888-GO-FOR-IT. Or you can submit your question online at AskDrLove.com. Now, here's Dr. Love.
Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Ask Dr. Love Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and I want to welcome you. It's always a pleasure to be with you at this time. Today's topic is Inside the Male Mind, 25 Secrets Men Wish You Knew. So I'm going to take you on a guided tour of the male mental anatomy. Did you know that if you just understand how a guy thinks, that's really going to help you form a bond that survives and thrives? But the more you know, the more your love is going to grow. So stick with me as I share some of these secrets that you may not know, but are really going to help your love go the distance. I'm going to answer also 3 questions, the weekly questions. The first one is, my heart is really confused. And this question, I'm working with a woman whose boyfriend cheated on her after 7 months of being together. They broke up, and now his family is urging her to give him another chance, saying that he's finally grown up. Meanwhile, her own friends and family are telling her, stay away from the dude. So stick around as I explain to her how she can decide for herself whether she is willing and should take the risk with him again or not. The second question I'm going to answer is, please help me. And here I'm assisting a young lesbian woman from India whose parents refused to accept her relationship with another woman. So stay with me and hear my suggestions for how she can talk with them and increase her odds of receiving their acceptance of her alternative lifestyle. And the next question is it's called long distance relationships. With this question, I'm working with a young Mexican man who fears that he's not going to be able to get his ex back due to the damage done by his jealous outburst over her own contact with an ex. So stay with me to find out what he needs to say and do to increase the odds of getting her back. And then, of course, reading between the sheets. This one's called, I lied to my girlfriend for 8 years about my past experience. And with this question, I'm helping out a guy who felt that he needed to finally come clean about his sexual past after having lied about it since day one. Now his relationship is hanging in the balance because his fiancée feels that he can't be trusted. So stick around to find out how he can clean up this mess and even make his love stronger than ever. All right, so let's get on to some of these secrets. The first secret I want you to know is that men will talk about feelings. We always have the stereotype men won't talk feelings. Now, if your guy was raised as a traditional stoic man's man, he may not be willing to talk about feelings directly, but he may very well talk about feelings indirectly. So one way to get at this is to ask him what he'd do during a romantic weekend or what he thought of the first time he met you, because the answers that he gives you are going to reveal how he feels and bring you closer together. Now, the second secret you need to know about men is that men say, I love you with actions. Don't forget, I say this over and over again in my book, Till Death Do Us Part, unless I kill you first. And it's usually, I'll kill you first because I don't understand that the male gender role is instrumental and task-oriented. It's all about actions. Men prefer to show their feelings through actions rather than words. So your guy may say, I love you by fixing things around the house, tidying up the yard, taking out the trash, anything that makes your world a better place. So don't forget that. That's a male way of communicating love. Now here's a third secret for you. Men take commitment seriously. So guys have a reputation for being afraid to commit. But the research evidence suggests that this is because they take marriage very seriously, and they may take longer to commit because they want to make sure that they are on board for good. And a recent survey currently conducted with married men, 90% say that they'd marry the same woman again. So that's a really nice piece of news. Now, here's a fourth secret for you. Men are really listening, even when you think they're not. So, a lot of women, when we listen to someone talk, we often chime in with, yeah, I see, that's a woman's way of saying I'm listening. But some guys don't do this. And just because a guy isn't saying anything doesn't mean that he isn't listening to you. Because some men prefer to listen quietly and think about what you're saying and really pay attention. Okay? Now, here's a sixth secret that I didn't say a sixth secret, a sixth secret that you may not know. For men, shared activities is how they bond with you. Men strengthen their relationships with their partners through doing things together more than by sharing thoughts and feelings. So for many men, activities like sports and sex make them feel closer to you. Remember, it's an action, the instrumental, task-oriented male gender role. Now here's a sixth secret for you. Men need time for themselves. Now, of course, while shared activities are important for men, they also need time to be by themselves. Whether your guy enjoys golf or gardening or working out in the gym, encourage him to pursue his hobbies. And at the same time, make time for yourself. And when both partners have space to nurture their own individuality, they have more to give to each other. So don't be afraid of that space. It's sort of like a rubber band. You sort of pull on it and it'll bounce back to you. Now here's a seventh secret. Men learn from their father. So if you want to know how a man is going to act in a relationship with you, get down with his father. Find out how they are with each other and how the father relates to his mother. And this is going to help you predict how well your guy will relate to you if you become his wife. Now here's secret number 8. Men let go faster than women. Now, women have memories like elephants. We remember negative experiences longer, and we often may have lingering feelings of stress, anxiety, sadness, or even anger. Now, men are much less likely to dwell on unpleasant events, and they tend to move on more quickly. So while you may still want to talk about last night's argument, your guy may have already gone way past it, and it can be annoying to them when we dredge up ancient business. Okay, here's 9. Men don't pick up on subtle cues. You know how we often say men are thick-headed, thick-skulled? Well, it turns out they actually are. Their skulls are thicker than women. And they are more likely to miss subtle signals like tone of voice or facial expressions. And they're especially likely to miss sadness on a woman's face. So if you want to make sure your guy gets the message, be direct. Tell him exactly what you're thinking and feeling and why. Okay? Because he really means well, but he's not a mind reader. Okay? Now, here's secret number 10. Men respond to appreciation. You know, I say this over and over again, and of course I introduced the 2 A's in my book, Make Up, Don't Break Up. Men need admiration and appreciation because remember, the gender role is task-oriented and instrumental. So when a guy does things for you, he needs recognition, admiration, appreciation for what he's doing for you. And this can make a big difference in the way he acts. Because, for example, when you take parenting, studies show that fathers are more involved in caregiving when their wives value their involvement and see them as competent. So, of course, we all want to repeat behaviors for which we get a pat on the back. Can you believe Dr. Love has now just sneezed on air? That's never happened to me before. Wow. Now here's another one. 11. Men think about sex a lot. Boy, am I sneezing on the truth, huh? So this one is no secret because most men under the age of 60 think about sex at least once a day, compared with only a quarter of women. And that's not all. Men fantasize about sex nearly twice as often as women do, and their fantasies are much more varied. And they also think more about casual sex than women do. Thinking isn't the same as doing, so don't get your undies in a bundle. All right. Now, 12th secret. Men do find sex significant. Now, it's a myth that most men think sex is just sex or cleaning the pipes. So, for many men, sex is a very important act between two committed people. And just like most women, men find sexual intimacy to be the most satisfying within a committed relationship. And one reason is that long-term partners know how to please one another better than strangers do. All right, now here's 13. 13. He likes it when you initiate sex. And believe it or not, most guys feel as though they're the ones who always initiate sex. You can't believe how often I hear that complaint. I'm doing all the work. So they also like to be pursued, and they wish their partner would take the lead more often. So don't be shy about letting your guy know you're in the mood. Initiate sex some of the time, and it may lead to a higher level of satisfaction for you both. Because don't forget, when you feed your partner what your partner wants to feed you back. All right. Now, here's your 14th secret. Guys aren't always up for sex. Now, we've talked on previous shows about the estrogen dominance caused by the xenoestrogens, the pollutants in the air and the food and the water. Guys are getting a lot of estrogen dominance. Their testosterone is being attacked by excess estrogen. Their drive is lower than it ever was. And men, much to many women's surprise, aren't always in the mood for sex. And just like women, men are often stressed by the demands of work and family and paying the bills. And stress is a big libido buster. So when a guy says, "Not tonight, honey, I have a headache," it doesn't mean he's lost interest in you. It just means he doesn't want to have sex right then. Okay? So now here's your 15th secret. Men like pleasing their partner. So your pleasure is important to your guy, and he won't know what you want unless you tell him. And too many women feel uncomfortable talking about what they like and don't like. But if you can tell him clearly in a way that doesn't bruise his ego, he'll listen, because he knows he'll feel good if you feel good. Alrighty, here's your 16th secret. Guys get performance anxiety. Most men get performance anxiety on occasion, especially as they age. And your guy may worry about his body, his technique, his stamina. And if you can help him learn to relax and stay focused on the pleasures of the moment, sex will become less stressful for your guy. All right, now, here's the 17th secret. Men may stray when their needs aren't being met. Remember I spoke about the 2 A's, appreciation and admiration? Well, according to all the research, if a guy doesn't feel loved and appreciated in his relationship, he may turn elsewhere for admiration and appreciation. And for one man, that may mean burying himself in work, but another may develop a fixation on sports or video games, and some men cheat. And to avoid this, you need to work together to make sure that you meet your partner's needs and really admire and appreciate him for what he is doing right. Now, here's your 18th secret. He's vested in you. So most men know there's a lot to lose if a long-term relationship goes sour, not just each other's company, but the entire life you've built together. And if you're willing to work to strengthen your marriage, chances are your guy is going to be too. All right? Nobody likes to upset the apple cart and just break up a family, or at least not many people like to do it. All right, maybe this is a good little moment for me to take a break, or I'll just give you a little hint what's coming after the break. Of course, that's my quickie section, and I wanted to talk to you during the quickie section about not only the tweets that I had on the topic, but I was also going to give you some kissing secrets, right? Because you can't believe how much a kiss can bond you as a couple. So I actually have checked out all the research on the kisses and what people like in kisses and what are the worst kissing mistakes. So I'm going to give you all the lowdown on kissing secrets. And whether it's your first kiss or a lifetime partner, we're going to kiss off your kissing problems. So I will be back with you in a moment on Ask Dr. Love Radio.
You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. To speak to Dr. Turndorf live on the air, call 888-463-6748. AskDrLove.com is the web's premier relationship advice site since 1996. Visit AskDrLove.com to search thousands of free relationship advice articles on any relationship issue you may have. Or you can submit a question to her free advice column. However, if you're listening live, why not call in? Don't be shy. Dr. Turndorf wants to help you, and this is a unique chance to get a personal answer from one of today's most respected experts. So, if you have a question for her, please call in now at 888-463-6748. That's 888-463-6748. Now back to Ask Dr. Love with Jamie Turndorf, Ph.D. Once again, here's Dr. Love.
Hello again, and welcome back to Ask Dr. Love Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and this is the time in my show I call Dr. Love's Quickie. Now, I didn't give you all 25 of the secrets. I only gave you 18, and I will give you the rest of those a little bit later, but I wanted to just get into some kissing secrets during the Quickie segment. So listen, whether it's your first kiss with someone new or a lifetime partner, kissing usually leaves an impression, and it's one that lingers long after your lips have unlocked. So kissing often plays an important role in a relationship and intimacy, and it even fosters deeper compatibility. There's actually a book called The Art of Kissing. It's published under the pen name William Cain. And according to Cain, the more that people kiss, the more they're able to communicate on a romantic level. So Cain talks about this software engineer in Tampa, Florida, who recalls his first kiss with his wife a decade ago. It's a funny story. They're sitting on the couch in her dad's living room, and he leans over to kiss her, loses his balance, and falls off the couch, pulling her down with him. And he says he was so nervous because she was completely out of his league, or so he thought. And so the first kiss happened while they were laughing, and 10 years and 3 beautiful kids later, they're still laughing and kissing every chance they get. So if your first kiss or any of the many that follow isn't what you're hoping for, talk about it. Because many couples hesitate to talk about kissing out of embarrassment. But don't be shy about telling your partner what you like or asking what your partner prefers. Just don't do it while you're kissing, because you don't want to talk with your mouth full. And of course it can be taken as a rebuke. So let me tell you about the most common kissing mistakes. Most of us obviously have clear preferences, turn-ons, and pet peeves when it comes to kissing styles. Now, they say, according to research, men's biggest mistake is that they're too aggressive with their tongues. And men claim that women don't open their mouths wide enough. Now, for both sexes, the number one kissing complaint is lack of variety. And so, one way you can get around the monotony and introduce more variety is to kiss different parts of your partner's face and the ears and the neck, biting softly on the lower lip and nibbling gently on the earlobe. Now, 2 keys to a memorable kiss are pleasing your partner and pleasing yourself, right? So put your whole body into that kiss. And this is according to Marilyn Anderson. She wrote Never Kiss a Frog, A Girl's Guide to Creatures from the Dating Swamp. So without words, you want your lips to say, baby, there's more where that came from, right? And there are ways to keep it fresh and new all the time. Just put your body into it. She also says that people like to start with gentle kisses on the neck, move up to the ear, then go back to the lips. Take some small breaks and then come back to the lips, because don't forget, all of our sensory apparatus adapts very quickly. So if you come off the lips and then come back, you reignite the sensations. Now, also, another good tip is to put a hand on your kissing partner's neck, because it adds passion, like I can't get enough of you. And let's be honest, that's what makes for a really, really great kiss. And don't get hung up also on what the kiss might lead to. Enjoy that kiss for its own sake, because a good kiss is soulful and deep, and you should feel each other's love through the kiss. And it's like an adventure in itself. It's not a stepping point to something else. So don't forget also, if you're in a long-term relationship, that many people fall off the kissing wagon. The steamy makeout sessions, they usually happen early on in a relationship or during the honeymoon period. But later on, when people are in a long-term relationship, they often stop kissing and they lose that intimate connection. There was a Red Book poll. 79% of women said they don't kiss their husbands nearly as much as they'd like. That's a lot. So you got to keep kissing in the game, because the emotional importance of a kiss is where it all begins, and you shouldn't let that go just because you've known someone for a long time. It's kissing, maintenance. And time hasn't made kissing ho-hum for a lot of couples if they just keep their heart in the game. Alrighty? So, and also, if you allow your heart to speak through the kiss, you're going to have a much deeper kiss because you know each other. There are sparks. There's fireworks. All right, let me give you a couple of tweets on this topic. You can learn a recipe for a kiss that's bliss. So I just gave you the recipe, so you're going to remember that. Replay it and make it yours. Get chapped lips, all right? Here's another one. If you want your love to stick, it's time to learn what makes a man tick. And another, if you want more moans, remember that he also likes it when you jump his bones. Here's another. Give him more room and he'll want to be your groom. And another, your understanding is the glue that makes a man want to stick with you. The more you know about your Romeo, the more your love will grow. And understanding the mind of a man ensures a love that's no flash in the pan. And when you understand the secrets of the male mind, your love will become a rare find. For love that's here to stay, don't let your kiss rub him the wrong way. And men are generally quite hot to trot, which makes him think about sex a lot. All right? And men's eyes constantly fall in lust, but that does not mean his love you cannot trust. All right, here's a little X-rated one. If you're under 21, turn this off. Why a man's penis is located in his eyes is a mystery that perpetually defies. And kissing off kissing mistakes. Go for variety, not monotony. All right? So am I going to have to blow you a kiss now? I don't think I can blow you a kiss through the microphone because I think it would make an awful, awful squeak thing. But, I just remembered now when my husband used to kiss me, he had this technique where it would feel like he'd put his whole body into the kiss. And I used to say to him, there's gravy in that kiss. That's what we're talking about. Put gravy in your kiss. And that's a recipe that just won't miss. Alrighty, I'm going to be back with you in a moment on Ask Dr. Love Radio.
You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. To speak to Dr. Turndorf live on the air, call 888-463-6748. That's 888-463-6748. If you like what you're hearing, you can learn about Dr. Turndorf's techniques for turning conflict into connection and healing in her critically acclaimed, groundbreaking book, Till Death Do Us Part, Unless I Kill You First, a step-by-step guide for resolving relationship conflict. Find out more about this book and read a free excerpt by visiting AskDrLove.com. This is Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. And if you have a question for her, please call in now at 888-463-6748. This show is for you, the listeners, so please give her a call now. You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Jamie Turndorf, Ph.D. Once again, here's Dr. Love.
Hello again, and welcome back to Ask Dr. Love Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf, and I'm giving your lips a rest now. We just went through the kissing secrets. Now I want to give you the rest of the secrets that you may not know, but you need to know. And these are secrets that all guys keep. They're like the don't tell the wife secrets. So this first one is connected to not telling you the truth in order to protect your feelings. Like, here's a good example of it. So if a wife says to a husband or girlfriend says to a husband, were you looking at that cute girl who was washing the car in the rain? And the guy says, no, honey, I wasn't looking. Well, it's not that he's lying. It's just that he's trying to not hurt your feelings. And very often, these little white lies are meant to be innocent and they're meant to protect you, but they often turn confusing for women. Because many women think if you're lying about yourself and your feelings, what else are you lying about? Is he having an affair? So to establish trust, you want to tell the truth, even about innocuous stuff. Like, yeah, she was cute, but I love you. So you reaffirm the connection, but you don't lie. Because, I'll never forget this colleague of mine who went to Paris with his girlfriend. They were walking down the street when a really attractive woman passed by, and he made this audible groan in response, very involuntary reaction. And when she asked him, were you attracted? He said no, and then he was lying to her. It was a disaster. So, look, you're not blind. You see things. Yes, so she was attractive, but I love you. Alrighty? Now here's another secret. Yes, guys fall in lust about 10 times a day, but it doesn't mean that they want to leave you. Okay? So, again, women are always saying, were you looking at her? And the answer is yes, we were. So when a woman walks by, it's just, there's a way that a guy can be subtle. I had a couple that came to me. It was a really big war that they had because the way he would look at women had the the feeling for the girlfriend of like an intent to act, it felt almost flirtatious. It's one thing to make a passing glance. It's another to do an inventory of every nook and cranny of her bod. So you can be considerate while at the same time not denying the fact that it is natural for a guy to have eyes and see and be attracted to many women. Okay? Now, here's the next one. Guys do play golf to get away from you. All right? So did you know 21 million American men play at least one round of golf a year? And they are crappy golfers. They regularly shoot worse than 90 strokes a round. They stink. But the golfing isn't really about golf. It's about the kids, the house, the absence thereof, the need to get away. So the point is everybody needs a little bit of time away. That's all right. You need time away too. Now, here's the next secret. Guys are unnerved by the notion of commitment even after they've made one to you. Right, so, Sigmund Freud was the first to say that it's not natural for men to commit. He thought that it's because men are naturally less selfless than women. The female gender role is about putting the babies first and being there for the hearth and home and the husband and the kids. And this isn't as natural for men. The men have to be able to be independent and go out there and bang things over the head with clubs. And so it's not natural for a guy to go to the monogamy. So especially when you're talking about younger men, there's the feeling of closing down options. Could there be someone else that I could have sex with and someone else? So very often it takes guys decades to really feel like they've fully played the field. And then when they finally do meet somebody who feels like the embodiment of all women rolled into one, they're less nervous to make the commitment. Okay, now here's the next secret. Earning money makes men feel important. Now, did you know this is an amazing statistic? In more than 7.4 million U.S. marriages now, the wife earns more than the husband, and that's almost double the number in 1981. So this is great for women in the workplace, but not all guys are so happy about this because remember, the male gender role is instrumental and task-oriented, and men have been socialized to be the protector and the provider. So it does get under a lot of men's skin to find that the women are bringing home more bacon than they are, okay? And then, of course, women are frying it up in the pan. So keep in mind that can really bruise a guy's ego. I'm not saying you shouldn't earn, but be aware of what he's feeling, right? Now, here's another secret. Though we often protest, guys actually enjoy fixing things around the house. So most men like to tinker and they like to fix things. They may complain, but they like to use the tools. It's kind of like being a boy and playing. Now, they don't share this information because most guys say women don't differentiate between taking out the trash and fixing a broken hinge. To them, both are tasks that a guy needs to get done over the weekend, preferably during the Bears game. So they want to use their hands. Think about the steps in the process, home repair, not with the repetitive, no possibility of a compliment. They want the compliment. If they do the work and they use their brains and they make the effort, they want the compliment. We're back to the admiration and the appreciation. So here's another secret. We like it when you mother us. This is what men say, but we're terrified that you'll become your mother. So that's in the surveys what men say. I'm not, don't murder the messenger. I'm just reporting the news here. Now, here's another secret, which is really kind of neat. Every year men say they love their women more. So they actually don't want to admit it in a way because it is almost embarrassing to admit, but they're afraid to sound like gushy little teenagers. But the fact is that when you survey most men, they say the older and wiser they get, the more they love their partner. For richer or poorer, for better or worse. And those kinds of aspects don't hit you right away. It's something that grows like fine wine. And it takes men time to realize they take stock in their life and then it starts to sink in. They may not tell you that, but that's what men do feel. Now here's your next one, secret. We really don't understand what you're talking about. A lot of guys don't want to admit that. But women think about certain deep, complex issues in the relationship and then want to discuss these issues with guys. And during the discussion, a guy sits there nodding and saying like, yeah, I understand. That makes sense. I'll do better. But in many, many cases, the guy doesn't understand. It doesn't make sense to him. He's not used to emotional communication, and he wants to do better the next time if he only could. But he doesn't know what you're talking about, and he's too embarrassed to say so. So they care, but they just don't quite get it. So you have to get better at using the communication techniques that I outlined until death do us part, so that you ladies learn to speak in a way that men do understand, with specific descriptions of behavior, specific description of what you feel and what you prefer, and then doing a lot of listening and checking to make sure when he reflects back that he got what you said. You can develop this ability. Now, here's another secret. How do you like this one? Guys are terrified when women drive. This is what they say. They say they're scared to death when women drive. And I don't know what to tell you. They don't like how women drive. And here's the last one. If you give guys an inch, they'll give you a lifetime. So this one guy is reported as saying he was on a beach, waxing his surfboard and admiring these glistening 10-foot waves when he just knew he wanted to marry the woman who is now his wife. And this was 3 years before he got around to popping the question, but he knew. And it was because his woman let him have the space to go on vacation alone. She actually made him go. And this was the most important thing to him. And this is the most important thing that a guy may never tell you. So if you let guys do dumb guy things, embrace the stupid poker night, encourage him to go surfing by himself, then they will actually embrace you forever for the room that you give them. Because they need that room. And if you give it, they just melt for you. All right. So now we've done all the secrets. And now I'm really, really wanting you to hold those in your heart so that you understand your guy better. And that's going to really help you guys connect better. All right, so let me get down to some questions. This first one is called, My Heart is Really Confused. Hi, Dr. Jamie. My heart is really confused at this stage, and I have no one I can ask advice. 2 years ago, my mom passed away, so it was not a good time in my life. But I met this wonderful guy, and I felt like I could move mountains. Okay, so the first 3 months were always good. They're always good. But then the normal kind of problems came. We fought, and then I caught him cheating on me after only 7 months together. We talked about it, and we moved on. And after 3 months, I caught him again. But this time on his phone, wanting to kiss another girl. So we fought about that. And then not long after that, the relationship ended. And 3 months later, he came back and I said yes, we could try one more time. And I worked with him, so we saw each other 24/7. Well, it didn't last that long because after 4 months, it ended again. He chatted with other girls, and the messages that he sent them just broke my heart more. And then I went and got work elsewhere. And we haven't been together for 2 months. And he came back begging me. But I just kept on saying no, although I still love him so much. And his mom phoned me one day and said that he really has changed for the good. He just went through the playing phase and it's over. And maybe things could work now. So we've started visiting each other again. And I enjoy it. But it feels as though my heart is not in it. My whole family says, please let him go. But I'm struggling for some reason. I can't tell him now, no, it's not going to work. And I don't know. That's what's the confusing part that I need help on. Will this relationship ever work, or should I rather just bite the dust and tell him goodbye? I really, really need help. So listen, I do understand why you're wary. I surely do. But remember now, nobody, not your family, not your friends, not even I, can or should tell you what you should do. But what I can help you do is clarify what you want for yourself. So first, let me start with what you're feeling right now. You said, my heart is not in it. So your feeling of detachment, of not being fully in, is actually a defense mechanism that your psyche is using to protect you from further heartache. Now, you know the saying, once burned, twice learned. Well, you were burned more than once by this guy, all right? So what I want you to consider is whether you think his mother's assessment that he's outgrown his player phase is actually true. So think back to your last time together. And when you reflect on his actions in the past, can you now see signs that he was unfaithful? Did he go off the radar? Did he hide his cell phone? Did he act guilty? Did he bend over backwards to be extra nice to you at odd moments in order to assuage his own guilty feelings over cheating? Now ask yourself if you see any examples of this old behavior this time around. Okay? When you make this assessment with a very cold and rational eye, you should have a much better sense as to whether he has indeed grown up and out of his player phase or not. And don't forget that the male brain isn't fully developed until the mid-20s. And one symptom of this lack of development is a sense of confusion about what he wants and a lack of readiness to settle down with one woman. But keep in mind that cheating can be in a person's blood, so to speak. So, for example, if a person's parent cheated on his or her other parent, then that person can be at risk of cheating him or herself. So do you know if your boyfriend grew up with parents who were unfaithful to each other? And if that's the case, then he may not be emotionally capable of fidelity. So do your own observations. And if need be, get more information from him regarding his parents' relationship, okay? And after doing what I suggest, you should be clearer on how to proceed. But by all means, listen to your wariness and keep your guard up until you feel confident that he's different. Okay? Because I want you safe. All right. I'll be back with you in a moment on Ask Dr. Love Radio.
You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. To speak to Dr. Turndorf live on the air, call 888-463-6748. That's 888-463-6748. If you've recently been through a breakup and are looking for a second chance, wondering how you can reconcile with your ex, or if it's even possible after all you've been through, Dr. Turndorf's latest book, Make Up, Don't Break Up, presents her 5-step plan for reconciling with your ex. This plan was developed out of years of research, working with thousands of couples at her Center for Emotional Communication. This is a proven no-hype and no-nonsense method that gets right to the root of the problem to guide you to the right path towards reigniting a lasting relationship. For more about Make Up, Don't Break Up, visit AskDrLove.com. You're listening to Ask Dr. Love with Jamie Turndorf, Ph.D. Once again, here's Dr. Love.
Hello again, and welcome back to Ask Dr. Love Radio. I'm Dr. Jamie Turndorf. This is the time in the show where I'm answering your questions. And this question is really such a heartbreaking question. It's called Please Help Me. Let me get to it. Hi, Dr. Love. I am Natisha, and I'm a 29-year-old independent working woman from Ranchi, India. And I'm in a relationship with my schoolmate, and I have been for the last 12 years. My parents are not understanding and do not approve of this. Please help me as to how I should convince my parents that I cannot live without my girlfriend. I want to be honest with you about my life. I am a lesbian. I've known this for a long time, and now I want the whole world to know this about me. And I don't think I am. I know I am a lesbian, and it's not really something that you can explain. You just know. And I found my true self, and it's not a phase. It's not a matter of choice. I was born this way. Please help. Okay, so my heart really does go out to you, because communication problems with family are so painful. And for my listeners who aren't from India, I want to give you a little background to help you understand what Natisha's up against. So from what I understand, homosexuality is considered a taboo subject in India, and homophobia is prevalent throughout India. And to complicate matters, I understand that sexuality in any form is rarely talked about publicly in your culture. At the same time, I'm hearing that attitudes towards homosexuality have recently begun to shift slightly through various Indian news media reports. Okay, so also I hear that on July 2nd of 2009, homosexual intercourse between consenting adults was finally decriminalized in your country. And this was as a result of the support of many organizations, including the NAS Foundation, the National AIDS Control Organization, the Law Commission of India, Union Health Ministry, National Human Rights Commission, and the Planning Commission of India. And they've all pushed for tolerance and social equality for LGBT people. Now, since 1987, the press has reported many same-sex marriages all over your country, and it's also my understanding that the police generally harass such couples, and Indian courts have uniformly held their rights as adults to live with whomever they wish. Now, according to what I've read, family reactions range from support to disapproval to violent persecution. And when persecution occurs, there have also been numerous joint suicides by same-sex couples, mostly females, when their families oppose their unions. And because no license is required to marry, most couples seek the validation of family and community. And several female couples in rural areas and small towns have received this validation, and I'm really wanting this to happen for you. So I understand why it's important for you to also receive such validation from your family, because what else do you have? There, as we say, there aren't these official licenses. So to return to your question, how can you convince your parents? I suggest that you have another talk with them and ask them to fully voice their objections. Now, I want you to listen very carefully and non-defensively to what they say. Now, if you jump in prematurely and you try to push your agenda down their throats, they're going to seal up tighter than clams. So remember what Ignatius of Loyola said. He's the founder of the Jesuit order. When you're trying to influence others, you want to enter through their door, but have them leave through yours. So enter through their door and ask them to cite their objections. And at first, just reflect back what they say. I explain how to do this kind of active listening in my book, Till Death Do Us Part, Unless I Kill You First. There's a whole chapter on it, and I advise you to read that and really make it your own. So you reflect back what they say, and you keep saying sentences like, so you think, so you feel. Now, when you demonstrate consideration for their thoughts and feelings, you're teaching them how to offer you the same. Don't forget, you reap what you sow. And if you do a really good job and they truly feel heard, it's going to be easier for them to patiently listen to you. Now, I suspect that your parents are afraid. Perhaps they're afraid of their own homosexual urges, or perhaps they're also worried for you. What if you don't have a man to, quote unquote, take care of you after they die? It's just a guess. Now, the more you understand them, the better they're going to understand you. And in the end, they don't have to agree with your choice. They simply need to accept it. That's all we're looking for. And I want you to keep in touch with me, and I want to hear how the story and the issue progresses for you. Okay? So promise to keep in touch. All right. Now, here's the next question I'm going to lay on you. It's called long-distance relationship issues. All right. Thank you for reading this, Dr. Love. I'm from Mexico, and I have a long-distance relationship with a nice girl from the U.S., and we were together for 2 months, and we decided to fight for the relationship. And it was a nice relationship. And once we were apart, I started being jealous and insecure. And after a month of being apart, she exploded and said I was trying to control her, and she broke up with me. We got back together after 3 days, and I visited her a month after the breakup, and I noticed that she was talking with her ex from 2 years ago, and I got upset, and she deleted him from her phone, social networks, and so on. It's been a month since that, and we had a random discussion, and I got sad, and I let her know how I was feeling through a Skype conversation. And after all the conversation, we usually say a lot of words to say goodnight, and I didn't say the whole process, and she got mad at me. And the next day she told me that she messaged her ex, the one we fought over, and she said that she didn't want to give him up as her friend because of me thinking it was jeopardizing our relationship. We talked about it. I got busy that weekend, and communication wasn't that good those days. And then suddenly she said, I've made my decision and you won't like it. And she broke up with me for the second time because she is dealing with a lot, and I've been busy with school, and we've been Skyping, and I let her know I miss her, and she whispered to me that she does too, but she ignores me some days, and she says she needs time. And I don't know if she has talked a lot with the ex, and she's made that decision based on what he told her, because when I got upset, it seems that it was the end of the world to my girl. And I don't like being like this, especially when the relationship is long distance. And it's not an ordinary relationship, and I bet everyone involved in one has more than a couple of discussions and fights and hard times, and I want her back. and I want to change whatever I have to change, starting with me and the jealousy part. But with occasions like this, they just make me sad. So thank you and all the best. All right, so look, relationships are hard, but long-distance relationships are even harder. You know, I did a recent CNN TV interview, and I talked about the fact that without daily contact with our partners, it's easy for our minds to convert the absence of input into a blank screen onto which we project our very own horror movie scripts. And the storylines that we screen always end up being reruns of our own past traumas. So if you suffered rejection, abandonment, or inconsistent parenting, your storyline is going to be jealousy. And likewise, if you had another relationship that went south, if an ex dropped you or cheated on you, again, jealousy and insecurity is going to be the movie playing in your head. So when you said that you want her back and you want to change the jealousy part, you need to be clear. Your feelings of jealousy are not going to go away that easily. For starters, all you can do is commit to not act on your jealousy. Acting on it will take the form of subjecting her to an inquisition, trying to make her stop having contact with a certain person. Okay. Next, you need to work on healing the wound that's causing the jealousy. So think of the jealousy as a symptom. It's the emotional pus that is a sign of infection. So we need to heal the emotional infection, if you will go with that metaphor. So to identify the infection that's causing your jealousy, you can use my book, Till Death Do Us Part, Unless I Kill You First. My book is going to help you figure out the exact wound you suffered as a kid, and then it's going to show you the steps you need to take to heal. Now, what's great about my method is that I show you how to use the relationship as your healing agent. So here's how this goes. Since we all have been wounded in our first family relationships, it's the divine purpose of our adult relationships to help us heal these old scars. So let's say I'm correct and your jealousy is a symptom of having been abandoned as a kid. So your first step is to make your partner aware of your old scar. And then your partner can help you heal it by giving you the feeling that you need to feel more secure. For example, she could remind you, I'm not going anywhere. Or she might say, just because I'm friends with my ex doesn't mean I want to get back with him. He's a friend. You're my love. You get the idea. Now, you can't believe how my method makes it easy for couples to help each other to heal their mutual old scars. And as you help each other heal, the jealousy is going to be a thing of the past. And when your ex knows that you're committed to doing this hard work, I think she's going to be willing to try again with you. So let me know how you do. All righty? All right. Now, let me just go to, I think I only have time now to do my reading between the sheets. So let me get to it. All righty. So, dear Dr. Love, I lied to my girlfriend for 8 years about my past experience. That's the title. My girlfriend and I got together when we were both 17. We were always close throughout school before this. And when I was 16, before I was with my girlfriend, I had some sexual experiences with a different girl. And mostly this was just fooling around. But one time at a party, we did have brief intercourse. Without being too graphic, we were interrupted, so not much really happened. This may sound harsh, but I was never particularly keen on this girl and never really considered this as a valid first time for me, mainly because I was embarrassed by the circumstances. And I felt this way before I got together with my girlfriend. But before we were together, my girlfriend heard rumors about what I'd done with this girl, and I denied the fact that I technically had sex and only admitted to fooling around with her. And I did this because I didn't want her to judge or think less of me. All right. So now months later, once my girlfriend and I are together, it became clear that it was important to her that we were both virgins. And she would say that she was so happy that we had only been with each other. And I started to feel guilty. Now I'm going to have to synopsize this because I'm running out of time. So basically what you're saying to me is that eventually after many years, now you're together, you're sharing a house, you are a legitimate couple, it's been a while, in a haze of fear, guilt, and confusion, you finally told her everything. And she thought that this was the most hurtful thing that you could have ever done, that you lied. That meant that you had been lying to her throughout the whole relationship. And now you're worried that coming clean was the worst thing that you could have done, and you feel your whole relationship is in jeopardy and you want to know what to do. Okay, so look. If you had asked me before coming clean, I would have told you honesty isn't always the best policy. So here's my rule of thumb, okay? What you want to do is you want to only say or do what you know is going to be helpful to you, the other person, and the relationship. Now, keep in mind, many people attack others under the guise of, I'm just being honest. And now honesty is a veiled club that people use to pound each other. So in your case, you couldn't tolerate the guilt of holding the lie. Now, at this point, here's the damage control for you. You could say to her, I understand why you're upset because you think I lied throughout our relationship. And then I'd tell her that you talked to me about this and tell her what I'm going to say next, that you fell into a common defense mechanism trap. In essence, you initially avoided, that's the avoidance defense, telling her the truth because you didn't want to hurt her. You wanted her to feel that she was your first as you were hers. And because the other event didn't count for you, you saw a need to hurt her by sharing it. So you avoided telling her the truth. But then, as this is the case with all defenses, the very feeling we're trying to avoid ends up biting us even harder in the butt down the line. You wanted to avoid hurting her, and now she's hurting even more because she would have appreciated knowing the truth way back when. So what else can you say? That the avoidance was motivated by the fear of hurting her and the fear of losing her. And it's that very fear of losing her that's now on the table now. Remind her also that she mustn't view this one error as a symptom of a pattern of lying, because you have been honest throughout your relationship. And last but not least, okay, I want you to tell her that you know your avoidance of the truth way back when was the ultimate expression of how much you love her and you didn't want to lose her. Now, I want to hear how you make out when you talk to her, because if you really speak to her in terms of, I use the avoidance defense in order to protect our love, and in the end now you think I'm not trustworthy, but it was really love that made me do it, I think that she will be willing to put your disclosure of your sexual past to bed. I feel confident of that, and I want to hear from you on this point. I want you to confirm this to me. Alrighty, so that's all I have for you today on Ask Dr. Love Radio. You now know kissing secrets. You know also the secrets to help you understand guys better. The more you understand your guy, the less you're going to take his behaviors personally and misread them. Many of the behaviors that you thought were signs of lack of love are actually signs of love, as this exact story shows. He avoided telling the truth because he loved her. Now, next week on the radio show, I'm going to bring you a couple that is going to just blow your mind. Wait till you hear about the obstacles they've overcome. And I'm hoping it's going to encourage you to weather all the obstacles that face you on the path to love. So I'll see you next week on Ask Dr. Love Radio.